Hey, it's Cliff here. Today I want to walk you through an automation that I built that I wanted to show you a couple cool features in make.com and also give you some ideas for how automation can maybe help your business. One of the ways that we serve clients is by doing print. So printing can include event tents or apparel or drinkware or giveaway promotional printing type items. So we get a lot of emails from our suppliers of latest, greatest things and different types of design ideas and stuff like that. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to show you how this automation I built is going to post those design ideas to my social media so that I can give my audience their design ideas and print ideas and stuff like that. And then, hopefully they'll call me so I can do printing. And then I call the supplier who can, provide that product to me and give me the pricing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to walk you through. Here we go. Okay, so first thing is that we're using make.com Mailhook. So what you do is you add a trigger for webhook and then you select Mailhook. Then we're doing an image source match with regular expressions and finding what we're looking for only if it's a PNG or JPEG. And that comes from the HTML content of the mail hook, the mail that we forward. And then if the image here is found, the image source over here is found and the file extension exists, then we go get the file. And in this case, what we're doing is we are inserting this client safe version to go get that version. So what happens is they email me their version. So for example, we're going to look at this one and it's going to say, I think that's a pretty cool image, camo hats, call us, this phone number. So I can call them, but it wouldn't really be appropriate for me to forward that to my social media because, they don't sell to end clients typically. They typically only sell to distributors like myself. So I don't manufacture camo hats, but I can put your brand on a camo hat and then, I would maybe buy it from this provider or a different supplier. But here's the idea. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to show you how it works here. I just click forward. And what I can do is I can say this is a favorite. That's all I'm going to put in there. And then I'm just going to delete it. Over here, we're waiting for the email to be received. Great, so we received the email, the text, the HTML content, etc. Then we looked for the image source, found it. Then we went to go get it, and that's the client safe version, and it was status code 200. Notice we're using a text operator, not a numeric operator, meaning not down here. And then data exists. So the data would be the binary file. Then we're looking for if there's an ASI number, because that's where this email is coming from. ASI is Advertising Specialists Institute, and we are a member. It extracts the first line. Okay, so the first line that came through here, notice we've got this extra text and then the forwarded message, all that kind of stuff. Somewhere in here, it gives the URL that we find here and everything else, but we extract that first line. And this is regular expression named ranges. So when we come over here, we can use the named range instead of just a regular expression like $1 or something like that. So it makes it a little more user-friendly. And then what we're doing is we're doing this big replace. Inside of that, we're doing this replace to replace the forward because we don't want the colon special character and we don't want the FWD forward to be part of the file name. You'll see why later. And then we replace the ASI number with the slash with an underscore because slash, we don't want that in our file name. And then we save this file to Google Drive, and it's easy to map it wherever you want it to go. You just get the file from here. You just click get the file, no big deal. And we're not converting a file or anything like that. We're just keeping it just like it is. So thankfully that one worked just fine. So now where does that go? It comes here to this folder in my Google Drive. You can see the image came through, and compared to what it was down here, call them and everything, it's just this version. So it's just a nice little feature that that exists in this specific workflow. So obviously this is going to be custom to, what's available here to tie into and automate. All right, so now we have our cool image. Now, the other automation we have takes it from that Google Drive folder, gets the file, sends the file to AI to analyze the image. Basically what it's doing is it's looking at this image and it's saying, what can I learn from this image with the additional context of, I'm going to create this as a social post. I want to give it an appealing description. I want it to be an idea generator for my potential clients who might want to do promotional printing, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's what this does. And then if that's an error, then send me an email, that it was an error. If not, then we do this fancy JSON stuff. Basically what we're doing is we're getting the result from this AI prompt that down here we say, give me this strict JSON format. And then we're saying here, if the result contains error, because we told it to, somewhere in here. So set of field value to error. So if we have an error or the result doesn't exist because like the AI timed out or something, or it's just an empty string, then send me an email basically as a warning or a heads up, this didn't work, etc. Okay, and then here we set multiple variables. So what do we want our full file name to be? Notice we add the current timestamp and the width and the height of the image. That's just something that comes for free when you go get the Google Drive file. So might as well just add it in there just for quick reference, and also because we want a unique file name. So we add the timestamp here just in case, AI gives us a suggested file name, but let's say we do this 1,000 times, that suggested file name might be something like colorful stickers.jpg, and we don't want that to be given the same file name. Now, granted, Google Drive isn't going to overwrite it anyways. It would figure it out as a duplicate, add number 2, whatever it does. But this is just a way that we're referencing the timestamp is like when it was processed. Now, this is a tricky little one. I think I have a comment here. So one thing here is the Instagram ratio. So the width and the height, just as a reference. So the width and the height, if you follow this help link, basically Instagram doesn't accept super wide or super tall images. They used to only accept, original Instagram used to only accept square images, but of course that's long gone. But they do have restrictions. So we just have this note. And then this is a really, helpful blog article if you want to embed the actual image. Now, the reason we need to do this, and notice we get the field ID, file ID. The reason we need to do it this way for the image host URL is because when we post to social media through our scheduler, for example, Buffer, or in my case, I'm using High Level, also called, in my case, Able Pro app for our white label version. We need to pass from AI. We're passing our social post written text from AI, the hashtags from AI, thanks to this ASI member for the image added to the post content. But we need to pass it a media URL, and that media URL comes from this specific way to output the Google Drive file. Because if we did it just a regular Google Drive file link, this web content link, it won't let me select it, but let's see, web content link. And it even says download. But if we go, view this, and it works in the browser, but when you are sending it over to like an actual image source URL, it's not going to work. It's going to look like a broken image. We do add MIME type and description from, detected from the Google Drive file. And then we give it our category. We can schedule it later if we want. Right now it's just set to publish. And then we're also detecting, is this a favorite? So fave over here, notice again, text operator is true, not Boolean operator down here. If you did Boolean true, it would work no matter what the value is, as long as it has a value, even if it's true or false. So it gets set over here under fave is false. So then it goes over here. So notice one was true and one was false because there were two files that got processed. Okay, and then what happens here is we gave it a file name, a description, which is kind of like a caption in Google Drive. So like if you were to search by it, and then on this one, and it should have had the word, or it should have gone to that folder called fave. I'll show you in a second. And then this one it's the same rules and everything. It's just going to the done folder. This one's going to the done/fave folder, which is over here, done and fave. Okay, so now we have our favorites just for quick reference in the future. All these other ones are here. Oh, and I also want to show you our spreadsheet just as a mini database of what it is. So we have this formula to display the image. Now you can't do, there's a function here available for image, and you can't do that because Google Sheets doesn't allow using a Google Drive file as the source image. It's just a rule. So we're doing it this way, and because it's a Google Drive file, it doesn't work with all file sources, but because it's a Google Drive file, it gives you a pretty preview here when you mouse over it. So we have our file ID as a hidden column. We have our title as a hidden column. And then we have our formula that goes and displays it as a pretty way to do that. Okay, so then we have our alt text, we have our description, we have our social post, date added. I'm going to go to the bottom here. And then width and height. Notice it matches over here, 750, 969. And then this is conditional format. If the value is not between those two numbers, that range that I showed you before. And then the image type, the MIME type, the file extension, and then the original file name that came through. And the reason I care about that is because I want to know, was it a fave like this one? And therefore it should have been, yep, over here the box gets checked. And then we have our ASI number. And then we have the full payload, which is just the full JSON if we ever just needed it for troubleshooting. So the reason we do it as a separate workflow here is because, yes, sometimes, a lot of times, my email is going to be the source of an image, but other times I might want to go get an image from anywhere else or make my own image, and then I want to put it in here. So notice this one does not have an ASI number. So we're not, it's just a test example. This one did come from ASI, but it's one that I'm testing as if it's not ASI, so I can make sure that it came through. But for example, I could go to a different supplier's website and get a great sample. For example, we have different ones here. Oh yeah, here's that camo one already. So for example, this one was from, notice it's a screenshot, and it's not one that came from the ASI email directly. It came from a catalog. And I was like, oh, that's a good, a lot of information in one. And the AI is going to be able to read all this information and give it a nice description and name and everything. And so, this one, it says order by December 5th. So what I'm going to do, I can just customize it. Yes, it came through from ASI, and we're still having our reference there, but I just took off the order by December 5th. Now, did I have to do that? No, but it's, just showing you what's an option here. But if there's a little tweak off something, that then I can customize it. Now, you'll see I have a wait folder. It's just so I don't process, 50 of them at once. Nothing happens there in an automated fashion. The done folder is the destination once it's all done. And then fave is the folder it ends up if the first three letters of the file name start with fave. And that comes from here. If the substring name, the first three equals fave, then set to text of true, else set to text of false. ASI number, either it's an ASI underscore or it's set to an empty string. Width, height, the ratio. Notice you have to use the math operator here. You can't do the actual slash. You have to wrap it in a double curly braces to get the functionality of actual division. MIME type, and then we split the file extension with a period here. We split the name by a period, and then just in case there's more than one period in there, we get the last one. All right, so now what we're going to do is we could choose to run this every day. In this case, it's at 1:30 a.m. We could choose to run it every hour. Let's see, every 5 hours, 90 or 60 times every 12 hours, 720. For now, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so we can also right click and say, choose where to start. So for example, if it already processed some of these, but like it errored out or something, you can change and set it to all, or just choose manually, where it'll give you the option. So we can process, multiple or one or whatever. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it run. So we're going to run it once, and then we're going to see how it goes. Now it is going to take a little bit of time for the ChatGPT AI to write this for us, but I'll show you around a little bit while we wait for that. One of the things I want to let you know about is the number of operations. So you can see it runs through the whole thing. Notice we're waiting maybe about 10 to 30 seconds for this. And there's only one make.com scenario, operation, credit, whatever you want to call it, transaction that's used up no matter how many files there are. But then this happens per file. So sometimes in make.com, you need to set up a loop or an iterator, I mean. The results here, you can see the result from the AI, and notice it comes in file name, alt text, description, social post, hashtags, and then over here is where we get that, and we replace the end curly brace with an empty string, and then we add our comma, basically adding another item to the JSON array, or to the JSON, and then we're adding all this, and then we're going to put back the curly brace. So we break it out here into the usable parts. You can see that image URL works. So when it goes over to social media, you can see here, just like that, thanks to ASI for the image. Trucker hats, safety orange, outdoor crews, field teams, bring your logo. So anyways, hopefully you like this. If you want to order promo products, give me a call. If you want me to build you automations, if you need help with AI, all that kind of stuff, we do a lot of different marketing things here. And if you need a social planning tool like this one that has all this other additional functionality, we are here. We are a great wealth of information for you and happy to help. Thanks so much. Leave a comment, give it a share, tell your colleagues about it, and let me know what your thoughts are. Tell me ways to improve it. Anyways, just happy to hear from you. Give me a call if you have any questions. Happy to talk to you soon. Thank you.